When the voice from the shadows calls you, when the wind whips past your ears, will you stand when the weight is upon you, or will you go to your knees in fear? There's a chance that we know it's a long shot, and the speed is out of time. Off and out if your heart stops beating, you're the only one that can survive.
And we are live. Welcome to the Digital Renegade podcast. I'm your host, A Dashing Rogue. We're with I'm by myself today, still. Well, we did it, boys. We made it. We made it. We actually made it. We've actually got ahead. We've actually accomplished our goals. We got Trump in. Now, let's hold some accountability, right? I mean, honestly, the last 40 years have been so freaking amazing, honestly. I mean, I moved. I moved because of the freaking pandemic and all the rest of the crap. My entire life has been nothing but a topsy-turvy, mess since the freaking Mr. Magoo got into the White House. And thank God Kamala Boombala ain't in there either. My goodness gracious, if she got elected, holy hell, we would have the Hindu caste system we'd be run by fucking Bolshevik Brahmin. Now we have to deal with Nas Bolshevik Brahmin. That's the only problem now. That's if we have to deal with anything. But again, I hate to. I'll just say it right now. I actually do think that Trump being elected actually raised the testosterone of the nation. I legitimately feel better and more. I wouldn't say uppity, but I'm definitely up there. I feel like I'm going to take more risks. I feel like, oh yeah, we're definitely back. I guess the notion would be 2016 syndrome. Or not even 2016 fever. I guess the term would be. And let's see what we got here in the chat. Let's look at the chat. See how all the wonderful people here. Lex Luthor, the unauthorized biography wall. I always felt that the office used King Kong Buddy as a reference on the cover. He did, probably for the picture of him, but the framing was more of the Trump's art of the deal. And again, we got let me just say this: Trump is not literally Hitler. He's literally Lex Luthor. That's I think that's a fair assessment. And it's not because, it's not even because he is, everyone's a hero in their own story, right? Trump, you could say he's a narcissist, you could say he's whatever, but he gets the job done. I mean, President Luthor, right? That's the joke in every, DC or whatever, continuity. President Luther. That's what Trump is. He's President Luther. He's not literally Hitler, he's literally, Luther. Okay, because he's breaking away from the orthodoxy of how shall we say it? The orthodoxy of the deep state. The deep state orthodoxy. What's up, my dude? Hey, what's up, Holy Mystic? DZ. Hey, Rogue. Yeah. Hey, man. Welcome. Okay, so, yeah. We are back. We are so totally back. And I honestly hope to God, we make the most of it. Like I said before, that I do believe we're going to see the end of the assault weapons ban. We're going to see an end of the NFA items. I think we're going to see access to suppressors and SBRs. It's going to be it's going to be awesome, dude. It's going to be one of the awesome, most coolest freaking, how shall we say it? We're going to have our Second Amendment right by the end of Trump's first term. I guarantee you. Everything, we're going to have machine guns and everything. I think that's what's going to go down. I think it's going to be awesome. When it comes to a lot of this, deportation crap, that's what spooks me, because we don't know where it's going to happen, but probably by the end of, the first year, we'll know. That's the first thing you have to ask. Because, again, I do think mass deportations might have to happen. Let's see, chat disconnected. California will resist the fascists as long as the crazies are in charge. Yes, they will. They will. The problem here is California has become a goddamn freaking fortress. It's a Fortress California situation, right? Right, Armored Ghost? Because at the end of the day, California, and again, I've now that I've established myself again in Arizona, I could go back to California and visit, and I do want to do it at some point and see what changed, and go hang out with my friend again back in back west, and even then go and talk to my priest from my old parish. I'd like to do that at some point. Go see my mom. And I have that money now. I could do that now because, a lot of what Trump has done is it's gonna get better. I mean, like I said, I think the testosterone of the nation bumped up a bit just because there's that little bit of hope people had. I was already at the point where I'm like, you know what? If it goes down, it goes down. I don't really care at this point. But now, because my expectations were in such a way set by Mr. Magoo and, fucked up by all repair, I don't know. Because keep in mind, there's some good parts and there are bad parts about this. We have, Trump, keep in mind, he did print out the universal basic income. He did do that. That is one of the things he did. Money printer go brewer is under MAGA. Yeah, that did happen. Now, I'm not going to say that, again, hold Trump accountable. Actually give good criticism. And, and let's say they have a common refute. Let's say they say, oh, okay, we don't want to, the tariffs on China are too lax, right? Because, China can then go to, let's say, Vietnam and then go around the tariffs. Go after those people who go around the tariffs, right? Holy Mystic says, I don't know when it will hit, but there's a thing to be passed where if someone gets tipped via a credit or maybe a debit, tips won't be taxed. Oh, dude, that would be awesome. Because here's the thing about that. That's actually helping his base. Because a lot of people outside of America love MAGA. I mean, there's this concept of, Canadian MAGA, which is shit. I mean, I'll just say this right now. MAGA globalism is best globalism. But MAGA globalism is still globalism. And it is globalism when you have people like Lauren Southern, Lauren Chen, and the rest of the people up in the Great White North basically shilling for a candidate they cannot vote for. That is something that needs to be tackled. We need to have that conversation about political tourism. That needs to be addressed. Armored Ghost says doubt tips will be free, tax free. Why pay favorites? Play favorites. I want to see some actual crackdown on actual issues that are going on. I want to see if I'm being oppressed or not, or suppressed by YouTube or the ghost of Susan Wojcicki and her infernal machine that she created. Armored Ghost again. If you want to reduce tax burden, you could simply cut rates for everyone. Yes, he could. I don't know if it's true or not, but I saw a tweet online I guess, Destiny's credit score shooting up like 68 points at one point. I don't know what the fuck he did. I don't know if that's true or not, but could be. It was enough to make me check my credit score. But let's get down with the show, right? We got, for those of you who want to know what that song was, that was the PROTOMEN, Hold Back the Night. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. I'm not, go look up Murdoch. It's basically Wignat South Park. I would say Wignat South Park. I mean, it kind of is Wignat South Park because it just doesn't give a fuck, right? And you don't have that intellectual shit like they're trying to care about optics. They don't give a fuck, and I love them for it. Let's see. If you tax the e-thoughts, yes, we're going to talk about some e-thoughts because one of my favorites came back. My favorite little BPD queen. The queen of horrors, the borderline of Berkeley, the cutest thing I ever did see, Ashton Birdie, because she is Birdie. I don't care what people say. It's not Ashton, Blase, or the hell it's Blase. It's Ashton Birdie and always will be. And the notion that somebody can own your name is like something straight out of a Miyazaki film. How the hell does someone own your name, right? See if I can get a good pic of her. Let's see. There we go. She's back. I mean, a lot of these people are back. PROTOMEN, there's a name I haven't heard in a while. Yeah, PROTOMEN. I mean, honestly, I should probably read up on them and actually listen to the whole album. Because I've heard the first part of it when they start talking about, like, Dr. Wily and his evil robots and stuff like that. But I definitely want to look into more of it. But anyhow, let's see if I can get a pic of her. She's been doing her little... Here we go. Let's pick this up. Let me just show you an example of her. She is... let me just say this. She has that little bit of girl next door to her. But the problem here is that, like James... was it James... Did James Sunderland in Silent Hill, too? I can't remember. But James in Silent Hill. This chick is basically my Mary. She reminds me of every chick I've ever met in high school. Let's see. There we go.
I would love a great liberal president. I would love a change in the system. I think America deserves a new system, a better system. The unfortunate thing is that we keep seeing the DNC push these candidates that are just... They're cronies. They're all about,
They're out of touch. They're old. They're fucking baby boomers. They don't know. They're not hip with the kids anymore.
They're career politicians, and they're an idea of what being a Democrat. It's very much. It doesn't fit into what progressives want anymore.
I'm surprised to find out that Arizona is a cut more expensive than many other states, including Texas. I'm surprised to find out that Arizona is a cut more expensive. Yeah, dude, it's hot out here. It's like Mustafar, dude. Like, there's freedom, but it'll cost you, and the cost is in no entitlements. The whole time I thought Lauren was Rogue's favorite. Lauren Chen or Lauren Southern? Because we're getting to Lauren Chen. Or Lauren Yu Sum Tang, because that's her real name, right? Which, you can't make this shit up. She's Lauren Krima Samyang Guy. Blondes, brunettes, or redheads. Ooh, that's a very good... That is... I don't know, dude. Like, do the brunettes have blue eyes? Are the blondes, hazel-eyed? Or are the redheads green-eyed? Like, again, I'm an eye guy. So, like, now it's, like, more color combinations, right? And even then, I like some of them coffee girls, too. Keep that in mind. Let's pull it up here. Let's see. Let's continue with what she has to say.
Want to see change. And people like Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton, yes, they're women. Yes, and the people who didn't vote for them because they're women, that's not what happened. Nobody said, I'm not going to vote for Kamala or Hillary because they're a woman. They didn't vote for Kamala or Hillary because they're terrible. That is the truth.
Yeah, we know you got cleavage, Con.
Trump is any better.
We know you got
Okay,
cleavage.
I don't want the liberals coming in my chat saying, well, do you want Trump? I'm saying that the DNC, if they truly wanted to beat Trump, they should have found someone better than him.
Like
that
who?
could have beat him.
Like
that
who?
Could have gotten Democrat voters excited.
AOC?
Democrat voters were not excited to vote for Hillary.
AOC is like
AOC
is like the only one I could think of in the whole Democrat party. Bernie is a sellout. I mean, he sold out for the Sheckies, right? Kamala Paula is a frickin' Sispumbala. Biden's Mr. Magoo at this point. He's literally become a meme, guys. Who? What? Like, legitimately, I'd like to know. Like, Hillary, maybe. But even then, Hillary, like, I don't even know. Like, say what you... Like Beckloff. Yeah, I think Beckloff... Yeah, vote Beckloff. I think, he's worked so hard in the box factory for so long, he almost certainly could be, run for a Democratic ticket and just say, we're going to be like, I'm a very sex-positive person. Redheads for everybody,
excited to vote for Kamala. Republican voters were really excited to vote for Trump. Trump was able to build and honestly, it has nothing to do with what I like. It's all based on marketing. I'm talking strictly marketing here. Marketing and PR means everything in politics. Politics is no different than Hollywood.
Yeah, she's not wrong about that. And there's a reason that I like following this chick. It's not just because she's literally the girl across the way, right? She's not the girl next door. She's the girl across the way, right? She was in Berkeley. I was in San Jose. She's from the Bay as well. And she was part of that scene. She was. Hence why she used to be called Birdie, which apparently Birdie is like, I guess, the code name they gave her. They gave her a number and they took away her name, unfortunately. Joe Biden said that he shook hands with Beglove in 1963 at the Chinese box factory. Beckloff's that old? Jesus Christ. That's... Maybe Beckloff was the time machine. He KO'd Rick Sanchez and he took the time machine and it's not even a time machine. It's a freaking... It's a parallel universe thing. So it would be somewhere in I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at that wrong.
I would know. I worked there. I worked for different media outlets, okay? Both liberal and conservative and alternative. They all use the same fear tactics. They all use the same marketing, the same PR, and the same entertainment industry tactics. It's all the same. It's an industry for entertainment. It sucks that it controls where a lot of our policies go, but that's just how it works. Trump was a better marketer than Hillary, and he was a better marketer than Kamala. And the sad part is the DNC flocked this election because they thought they already won. They got lazy. The only thing they ran with was Kamala basically saying how bad Trump was.
I don't think they got lazy. I think they legitimately didn't have any candidate they could, push. I legitimately have no idea what, again, I'm more conservative, right? So maybe I'm biased. But I can't think of anybody besides, maybe Bernie. But even then, Bernie sold out, right? So that's kind of like a no-go from the beginning. Kamala Paula, no one wants Kamala Paula. She's she's the legitimately a police stateswoman. She'll jail everybody.
Never once said what she was going to do or what she was going to change. As a liberal, that lets me down. I want to know how we're going to change this system, not just what bad stuff Trump did. Because the last 4 years weren't under Trump. We just saw Biden, who, funny enough, Kamala Harris was right under him. Technically, the past 4 years belonged to Kamala Harris just as much as they did to Biden. So what are we going to do to change from what has been going on for the past 4 years, Kamala? And that was never answered.
Maybe. that might very well be a case. And for all we know, the husk of the Democratic Party will be, filled by opportunists like maybe even Begloff and myself. You don't know. I mean, there's infrastructure that could easily be hijacked. The problem here is you have to deal with the SJWs first. It's like a house full of termites. The foundations might cave any time, but, the skeleton of the infrastructure might very well be useful if you can repair it. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Was completely ignored. That's why Kamala lost. The DNC failed because they pushed someone who wasn't competent for the past 4 years, and they pretended like she wasn't part of the same system.
She is the system, Ashton.
Lost. And the truth is, the DNC doesn't care about progress. They don't care about liberal voters. They really don't, and they're showing that. And I know the GOP doesn't care about their voters either. The GOP is they do not care, but at least they know how to push someone who knows how to market to a fan base. Trump walks into a Trump rally and it's like a freaking concert. It's like you're watching a rock show.
I love the fact that she's just so honest about this shit. That's the one thing I like, is that she has a depth of complexity. A vast ocean of knowledge, but the problem it's 3 feet deep. So she can give you an idea. She's like a very good. She's someone I watch. She's what Karen Borisenko should be, if that makes any sense.
If the DNC wants to win, and again, I'm not saying that I wanted this election result. What I'm saying is if the DNC wants to win, they have to look at what Trump is doing and think, okay, how do we build? What person can we throw into the ring that's going to have a crowd like this? That's going to get people excited. If your voters are not excited to vote for you, what makes you think you're going to win?
She has points. Garth has points. Now let's go to this part. Okay, this is. I've been having a lot of fun with Catholic YouTube lately. Catholics, like the Zoomer Catholics who think they're full of shit and know what they're talking about and know what's what. They have a lot of fun things to talk about. So this is a little bit longer. Let's see if I can find it here. Okay, here we go. I want to get started with this.
The Warhammer 40k universe of the social order.
Birthright. The law.
Power is not a means. It is an end.
What's hilarious is that everyone has an inner 12-year-old in their soul that secretly wants to live in at least 2 of these. And who can blame them? Cyborg cowboys and space knights are so cool! Tell me in the comments which of the 4 types of dystopia you choose to live in if you had to. I'm seriously curious, by the way, because I'm personally torn.
I find it hilarious that I identify as a rogue, and most of the people who I criticize who fall for this insane romantic notions about the world. And you're going to see how romantic this shit is, because this shit is almost like choose your own adventure, apocalypse according to Bethesda type of shit. It's just as glitchy, and you can sometimes see the glitches in the writing on the wall, as you're going to soon see.
Like Katniss Everdeen having to choose between a psycho and a simp. Do you want the totalitarian bureaucracy that watches your every move and gets you in trouble for wrongthink? How about an emerging neo-medieval world order with powerful private military companies? What about all the tech bros who have a tizzy for making cyberpunk a reality? With all new chips in our brains, crazy AI, and virtual reality. So we can pay for our own enslavement in the maw of the digital leviathan? Even though the YA dystopian phase has long died out by now in a publishing industry that has moved on to... I don't know what young people are reading these days.
Smut.
You won't ever find a guy like
Open your mouth in a second. I promise you're not going to yell for help.
listen to me.
Dystopia, as a genre, has been recapturing the public imagination, as we see with the Hunger Games prequel and the Uglies adaptation on Netflix.
Dystopia is literally just teen fan fiction at this point. Between the Hunger Games, between all this young... It's literally just there to make... to give teen angst some level of, just give them some sort of catharsis.
I suppose it's because the misuse of tech is a big part of dystopia, and we recently have new tech that emerged just in time to be misused and blur the line of what it means to be human. I love how generated AI images and audio are making liberal archetypes suddenly rage against progress and finally see the need to preserve the old ways. And meanwhile, traditionalists be like, Welcome to the Resistance, mon ami! Here we have only 2 genders. That's the next way dystopia novel right there. And while the threat of a theocratic dystopia is just a political talking point in the West, it's not so in other parts of the world. While Handmaid's Tale cosplay may be silly LARPing in Washington protests, it's eerily close to reality in Iran, and more recently Afghanistan, as well as spreading around the world in countries you wouldn't
But that's just their culture, bro. That's their tradition. You gotta look the other way on that shit.
expect, like the Maldives. But thankfully, true dystopias are, for now at least, only a literary hypothetical used to explore just how bad things can get for humanity. Though it's also a fine place to find teen love, apparently. But the worst part about dystopian storytelling is that although it's highly necessary as a social defense mechanism to think of how bad things can get and then avoid it, you never know if your book devising a clever new way to subjugate humanity will unintentionally give ideas to some rich and powerful dude somewhere.
See Aldous Huxley. See actual Fabian socialists and the people who were part of them. Looking at you, Orwell. Looking at you, George Bernard Shaw.
In the world who will go, write that down! Write that down! Like Mark Zuckerberg, literally trying to bring the metaverse concept from a cyberpunk dystopian novel called Snow Crash into reality and renaming his entire company after it. Or like Mr. Beast watching Squid Game, where a billionaire toys with people's hopes by making them struggle with each other for money, so he can wave bizarre entertainment content and going all, how about that, but real? But I get it, we all have a dark side to us, which is what makes dystopia a disturbing possibility. But jokes aside, dystopia as a concept is actually 1,000 times more sinister than just being about the dark side of humanity or simple things like injustice, authoritarianism, and terrible living conditions.
It's just the extremes of our science fiction. Like, they're the boundaries of our science fiction. You know, one of the things I've often talked about when it comes to science fiction, and especially fantasy, when it comes to politics, is that the left love their fucking Harry Potter. They love their academia, right? And the right love their Tolkien, right? They love their Lord of the Rings. And I'm thinking to myself, what is the real thing that, like, unites? Like, if we really were to say, you know, okay, we're going to decide what is America's favorite pastime, you'd think it'd be D&D, right? Or historically European martial arts, the way you look at how these people, the memes they have, right? But one of the things I think that really makes America's America is that everyone who loves those things would imagine, like, what would it be like if I was a ranger? What would it be like if I were, you know, in Dumbledore's army? That type of shit, you know? I've never seen, I haven't watched the entirety of the Harry Potter films, and I don't plan on it. I even have the Blu-rays, because I bought them, because, you know, like, oh, they're the whole set, but, like, it's $2 at a Goodwill. Why wouldn't you? Especially when they're $50 online, or $20 online on eBay. Why wouldn't you just have it as an archival purpose? But, again...
These things are also present in other genres, which are not to be considered dystopian. Created the template of the dehumanizing system so obsessed with efficiency, material productivity, and control that the system redesigns human beings through lobotomy to make us biological robots easier to control. George Orwell actually rips off that exact same plot, but develops psychological manipulation of the mind through language instead of physical manipulation of the brain through surgery. 1984 is actually more impactful than We, because it reveals more subtle ways for individuals to lose their humanity. The bureaucratic managerial class.
I have not yet seen Brazil, and I really do want to see Brazil at some point. I think Brazil is probably more realistic in this, at least in Kamala's America.
To change, alter, and warp the human condition through excessive manipulation. It leads to the creation of an all-encompassing system of control, a labyrinth of laws where humanity gets lost in, like what Hannah Arendt says. In a fully developed bureaucracy, there is nothing left with whom one can argue, to whom one can present grievances, on whom the pressures of power can be exerted. Bureaucracy is the form of government in which everybody is deprived of political freedom, the power to act. For the rule by nobody is not no rule, and where all are equally powerless, we have a tyranny without a tyrant. End quote. Which is what we see in Kafka's famous dystopian books. You can imagine this gets worse when you apply science, right? That's what technocracy is. It's the merging of science in service of the bureaucracy. You know, scientific management. And it's a nightmare, real-world methods of scientific management like Taylorism and Fordism, born from...
Yeah, Taylorism is. If you ever want to see a shitty idea brought to light, look up Taylorism. What is it, right? It's basically the idea that, we're going to try to make every single action a person does when they're working on a car or on an assembly line be more efficient. So the idea behind Taylorism is that instead of having, let's say, the individual mechanic have to go into their toolbox, look for the proper tool or piece of ratchet set, it's right there above him, and he can just reach up, grab it, and then it be used. That's Taylorism. That's the idea that you're trying to optimize efficiency down to the second. And we have to calculate exactly how many people should work, and it's utilitarianism brought where it maximizes efficiency and productivity, which I like, but even then there's a certain level, there's a certain limit.
American factories are literally mentioned in both We and the Brave New World novels as the ruling ideology of the technocratic overlords. It was the fear of applying the cold calculating system of the bureaucracy to every aspect of human life, since control naturally wants to extend itself. Like Oscar Wilde put it, the bureaucracy is expanding to meet the needs of the expanding bureaucracy. And the worst part about all of this is that it's extremely dystopian whether the all-consuming bureaucracy is competent, like in 1984, where they effectively crushed rebellion, or whether they're incompetent, like in the movie Brazil, where even if you just mind your own business, some intern can accidentally ruin your life by classifying you as a rebel by accident. The existence of the all-consuming bureaucracy itself is the problem. It's not a matter of being well run or not. Now, I don't want to come across as a pure bureaucracy hater. I'm just focusing on the negatives because this video is about dystopia. But the bureaucratic class has achieved many wonderful things in history, like the eradication of smallpox. It's not a coincidence that it was a Soviet technocrat called Viktor Zhdanov who led the initial plan. The eradication of smallpox was a massive international effort where the global bureaucracy collaborated with the local bureaucracies to eliminate one of the deadliest diseases known to man. It's
the bureaucracy, aka the states, right? The different nations on the planet. So, okay, first world, second world, we want to get rid of smallpox. Okay, that sounds cool. Hey, that could be good for population. Let's do it. And they did it.
It's truly a triumphant episode in our history, and it's events like this that make many academics believe that the bureaucratic technocratic management will lead to utopia, and we just need to give them authority to do it. The COVID pandemic fiasco, however, is proof that we shouldn't. They really fumbled the ball with that one, and revealed their dystopian side to the whole world. In any case, this is the most dystopian of the four types because it turns everyone into a cog or statistic, even those of the ruling class.
Here we are, your very own number. Congratulations, DZ-015. Welcome to the team.
Wokeism, socialism, communism, call it what you like, and other types of ideology function mostly to justify expanding the power of the bureaucratic class. Why are academics and government officials obsessed over transgender stuff? Simple, because if the individual cannot be trusted to define what a woman is by simple and clear physical observations, like a working vajayjay, but needs a douchebag with a college degree in bullshitology, then the bureaucracy successfully mind-fudged you into justifying more power for itself.
No, that's one reason, but it's not the be-all, end-all reason. Another reason is to kill off the people who they don't like convince the people who are actually, healthy that they're not healthy, and then they will naturally select to be destroyed. It's a form of euthanasia, a form of eugenics. One of the things that Trump said he was going to do in his, in one of his, his promises to the nation, is he talked about specifically he's going to go after these doctors who are mutilating these kids. The problem here with the whole Trump scenario is that we shouldn't have to we shouldn't have to have new laws on the book to go after these people. We should already all know that giving kids hormone blockers during puberty so they don't fully develop into a man or a woman because they identify as a tomboy or they identify as a girl or what have you, right? That's evil. That's actual fucking evil. You're literally messing with someone's life that they will never get back. They'll never get back those years. I think George Carlin said it best. Oh, you care about the children? Fuck the children. Leave them the fuck alone. Let's see what else we got here. There we go.
Technology is used for the creation of things to be bought and sold. The cyborg stuff is what happens when you apply that to the human form. But the elites are also dehumanized by becoming a brand. It's why merchant class dystopias have more of a focus on the founding families' names or the names of individuals who turn themselves into the brands of mega corporations, like the Arasaka and Tyrell corporations, from Edge Runners 2077 and Blade Runner, respectively. Or they sell themselves as the visionary behind whatever product they're selling, like Andrew Ryan from Bioshock, selling you a one-way ticket to Enrighty in hell! We also see this in the real world with Trump and Elon Musk and Mr. Beast, etc. Merchant class rule turns the rulers into a brand. That's also dehumanizing. That's the main characteristic of a dystopia. It's where
the merchant class rule. So identity politics. It's the Jews, guys. It's those Muslims. Oh, gay Muslims, gay Palestinians. Oh, lesbian Iranians.
One pathological system consumes everything. In merchant class dystopias, the effect is particularly insidious because
and here we go with the freaking traditionalist shit. Okay, merchant class. So basically, they're the people who are the merchants and their little Hindu Gnostic caste system.
Even when you try to escape it, you feed the beast. It's where the punk and cyberpunk comes in. Even the aesthetic of the cool rebel fighting the system becomes a brand and a product. It's why cyberpunk is often such an angry genre. The name cyberpunk first originated from a short story of that name, which later became the title of this whole thing because it's fitting. Precisely because it's an anti-capitalist genre filled with cool games, movies, books, toys, clothes, and comics that you can buy.
It's not, is it? Is it really anti-capitalist, or is it just like, how people integrate and work with technology? It's not just like about technology, it's how people use it. So like we have internet access. What are we doing with it? We have access to, a perfect example, we have access to LLMs. How are you using it? I'm making porn. Oh, okay. I mean, that's what cyberpunk is. It's basically how people use technology.
Right now, and have Amazon shipped it to you on one of those retarded Zeppelin drones for just $9.99, which if you flip it upside down, it becomes $666. You're still feeding the beast. The reason for this is because the market is the summation of human interaction. So even by fighting against it or running away from it, you interact with the system. Where are you going to buy weapons to fight the corpos, bro? Where are you going to buy the ticket for a rocket ship to leave the Earth and escape them? It's why the cyberpunk genre is filled with advertising for you to leave and go to outer space. You might be less beholden to your corporate overlords in the frontier colony worlds and more free and independent from their influence, but they...
Yeah, but yeah, you could go to the frontier, but
don't care because they can monetize your desire for independence and escape.
So like Charlie Kirk.
We saw this in real history, where the USA was literally created by private royal charter companies making money off the settlers who wanted freedom. And this private corporate origin in the DNA of America is why The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins is so unique, because it's a bureaucratic class type dystopia that operates on merchant class consumer logic. Since it's a technocracy in the United States, the Americana of it all makes the government of Panem still think in terms of branding, entertainment, show business, etc. Even though
that's actually a very good question. Why are they doing that in that whole series? Like, I'm pretty sure everybody knows what's going on. Are those M1 Carbine? No, those are G6s. They look like foul.
The mode of production that they have doesn't really require this, which is why The Hunger Games is this weird middle of the road dystopia reminiscent to the American elites now, since the American bureaucracy has been gaining more and more power while still having to pay lip service to the American market culture. The true merchant class dystopia is way more abstract and devious than the bureaucratic dystopian systems in many ways, but it's still less dehumanizing on its own because it depends on your autonomy as a consumer and it tries to profit off of human needs for family. Type 3. It's heresy. The dystopian theocracy run by the priest class, You'll notice as we go down this list that there are less and less examples in fiction of each dystopia I talk about, precisely because each ruling class is less and less dystopian the closer we get to pre-modern values. Since dystopia is a phenomenon of modernity, and priests
modernity! It's like patriarchy, but for everybody.
warriors are more of a pre-modern ruling class, but they can also exist in a modern context and be quite dystopian. Oh, do you know what the first type of human government was?
No. Oh, a theocracy, okay.
It was theocracy in ancient Sumer. Theocracy is the most organic type of government to the human condition, and that's because religion is uniquely human. The animals of prehistory are not religious, and the machines of modernity are also not religious.
I wouldn't say it's religious. I'd say it's an article of faith. Faith that you can keep your contract. Faith that that Negan will kick your ass if you don't, right?
So a theocratic government naturally
Strongman
preserves an
government.
essential human aspect by preserving religion. However, it doesn't always, because a priest class can preach an atheist doctrine as
Try the modernity. Okay. We'll play the modernity drinking game. That's actually a very good card. We're dealing with Catholics, so yeah, modernity drinking game might very well be a possible. Okay, we'll try it.
as well. I'm using theocracy as a catch-all term for when the priest class rules, but it doesn't actually have to be religious, because the priest class is defined by preaching and enforcing a doctrine. Their role is convincing or forcing everyone to think the same for social cohesion and a common goal. That's the function of the priest class, which means that priests don't have to be literal religious priests. Journalists, academics, social media influencers, all of these are members of the priest class with the role of preaching an idea and influencing public opinion. The ethereal
Oh, so bards, basically. So the bards are running the fucking asylum.
in the Tal Empire of 40k are a great example of an atheist priest class dystopia. The 30k Imperium of Warhammer was also basically an atheist priest class dystopia, preaching an atheist humanist doctrine as the imperial truth. Through imperial iterators, which are basically missionaries preaching the revealed truth of atheist materialism and secular humanism. Mankind must be free of dogma, and if you question that, then we'll send our cosmic crusading space knights to beat your ass. With 40k, all that really happened was they replaced the original atheist doctrine with a theist doctrine. Rule of the priest class can, in fact, be the undeniable least dystopian of the four types, even less dystopian than the warrior class type, if and only if
The God Emperors basically played the Dawkins card. And that's what, and again, atheism, especially modern atheism with Dawkins and the rest of them, is incredibly dogmatic. It is. It demands that you protect other atheists, no matter how stupid and retarded their ideas are.
the specific religion or doctrine of the priest class in charge.
University
is
professors
exclusively
are
pro-human
secular
and aimed at
theologians.
preserving
They
humanity.
are, in some
But if the
regards, but
priest
fuck
class
this
adheres to an
narrative shit.
anti-human
Fuck the plot
doctrine,
railroad.
then it can be one of the most dystopian settings, like the extremely dehumanizing transhumanist religion of the cult Mechanicus, also in 40k, which worships the machine, and its adepts replace their human parts with mechanical ones because the machine is immortal. Which is awkward because to maintain their religion, they must still retain at least some of their human essence. Because of anti-religious propaganda from the bureaucratic class over the centuries that wanted to replace the old ruling priest class, there is this myth that theocracies bring technological stagnation, which is not true. Since, as we see with the Soviet Union, they censor genetic science as bourgeois pseudoscience invented by capitalists, even though genetic science was discovered by the Catholic monk Gregor Mendel.
面对广大革命群众，你老实交代，你是不是精通各种力学？
你曾经在教学中散布宇宙大爆炸的反动理论，这个理论居然假设了时间的
They're talking shit.
你说什么？那7点以前有什么？
没错，这就给上帝的存在留下了位置。
你是想说有上帝？
无论有没有，科学都没给出确实的证据。
Yeah, that's fun.
Type 4, the way of the sword. Which leads me to the warrior class dystopia. Simply put, this is a dystopia that dehumanizes the weak. But it's the least dystopian of the 4 types, which is why there's so little examples of warrior class dystopias in fiction. Alien cultures like the Klingons and Mandalorians don't count. Alien warrior cultures are usually just exotic, otherworldly.
Well, what about Conan the Barbarian? Wouldn't he be considered like a one of the warrior class? I mean, he literally, or like Cole the Conqueror, or anything by Robert B. Howard.
These societies inspired by pre-modern civilizations meant for world-building the setting, so the main character can have a badass alien waifu, like Eric Weston's novels on Amazon, where the protagonist gets a sci-fi harem of beauties who want to have his babies. Apparently, it's more wholesome than it sounds, according to a friend of mine, but regardless, the indie authors
we can't forget Tenchi. We cannot forget Lord Tenchi. Because let me just say this, like, the only reason you would even want this is to get laid. The only reason you're even interested in this shit is to get laid. Whether it be, you know, your freaking harem, actual harem in the Dune universe, right? With the theocracy dystopia. Or, you know, the freaking Robert E. Howard gore world. Like in, the warrior dystopia. Or, you know, the freaking, you know, technocrat, let's fuck that femboy, you know, android, right?
Wild. Anyway, there are only 2 real examples that I can think of that properly portrays a dystopia run by the warrior class. One that isn't a complete hilarious cartoon like the Terran Empire in Star Trek that I just can't take seriously. The first example is the first Dune novel that just briefly explores it before shifting to the theocratic dystopia in later books. But it's by far the least dystopian of all these stories I mentioned here, because despite all the oppression and brutality, the Dune Imperium is still humanity at its most natural state that it can possibly be in such a far-flung sci-fi future. Managing
They're all
to
drug
humanity
addicts.
for so long makes it almost non-dystopian. It's almost like a hopeful vision in a way, that humanity can survive so long in its mostly natural state. But it's still dystopian because humanity is genetically, psychologically, socially, and chemically manipulated by weird, strange elites that barely qualify as humans.
Fucking
Genetically
traditionalists
speaking,
and
the space
walruses.
navigators, the Bene Gesserit, and the noble lords with superpowers are something else. Perhaps a parasitic human subspecies that use their genetic advantages to pretend to be divine and fool the normal humans. It's very eerie when you see it that way. The other
It's just say the name, dude. Just say the word.
series of books that explores a warrior class dystopia is of course Red Rising. If Warhammer 40k ripped off the later Dune books with the God Emperor, Red Rising rips off the first book with the noble houses of space demigods vying for control of planets. It follows the same template as the first Dune novel almost to a T, but explores it even further, developing a setting where space travel in the solar system makes humanity engage in genetic engineering to adapt to other planets, which naturally brings back ideas of inherent hierarchy through valuable lineages, where one
Basically, Killzone.
genetic faction calls themselves the Golds and genetically engineers themselves into superhumans capable of subjugating everyone else and then enforcing a genetic caste system defined by social roles. Labor.
So Killzone.
In conclusion, dystopias are about the dehumanizing effect from the corrupt misuse of power and how far it can go. The 4 main ruling classes of bureaucrats, merchants, priests, and warriors are connected to the 4 main types of power. The power of management and administration, the power of wealth and accumulating resources, the power of influencing what people believe, and the power of violence. All 4 forms of power are necessary for social coordination, prosperity, cohesion, and defense. Whether you like them or not, they are all necessary. People often ask me, what about the common class of workers and professionals, like doctors, scientists, truck drivers, people who work in factories, etc.? While the common working and professional classes of people are absolutely essential, they inherently don't have any power by themselves. If someone among them becomes powerful, it's usually by one of these 4 means. They either organized a union, but then the union guys are essentially bureaucrats, or they made something profitable and started a business.
Or you know, history is written by the victors, and you don't get to decide what dystopia is. I think we're in a cyberpunk dystopia. That's my personal opinion. But it may have gone better. Let's hope that Trump is correct, and that we actually get to save our country. So here's one for you. This one was fun. this happen.
When I find myself in times of trouble, dinosaurs. This sounds like a joke, but it's actually not. I've had a series of serious personal crises in the last few years, and every single one of them I have got through because I remembered that I could learn things about dinosaurs instead of lying down and giving up. Now, this is partly to say that I think it's really sweet and really flattering, but also, like, a little troubling, the number of you who have reached out to me for guidance in the last day, because there are people who are the kind of smart that can help us here, and I am not one of them. I did used to do protest organizing in a previous chapter of my life, but I wasn't even that good at it then, and
I'm wondering to myself, what the fuck are you? Are you a guy or a girl? My dick is confused.
Certainly no longer good at it. So what I will be doing on the political front is trying to discern who in my life is saying the smartest things, and then I'm going to ask them what to do. I recommend that you do the same. But I know a thing or two about receiving news that feels like it's blown a hole right through your chest. The kind of news that makes you wonder how the hell you are going to go on living.
The kind of news that makes you, they'll put you in a Mark Dice commercial.
And for me, the answer was to remember that there are things that I love enough for it to be worth waking up tomorrow just to get to read about.
Is it a girl? Dude, I don't even know. I mean, are you sure? Are you sure about that? Let's see.
Oh my god, I have so many emotions about this. When was your mother born? Just answer the screen, Dora the Explorer style. When was your mother born?
Come on.
Okay, now go to like a week before that. That is how long you have existed as an egg cell. I have existed at least as an egg cell since 1963, because mammals are born with all of the egg cells they get. You were a part of your mother's body when your mother's body was a part of your grandmother's body. You are not distinct from all mankind. You are not distinct.
I don't want to mess with this person, but I gots to know. Odd pride. So that kind of narrows it down, doesn't it? Back to what we were saying about dinosaurs.
When I find myself in times of trouble, dinosaurs. This sounds like a joke of lying down and giving up. Now, this is partly to say that I think it's really sweet and really flattering, but also, like, a little troubling, the number of you who have reached out to me for guidance in the last day, because there are people who are the kind of smart that can help us here, and I am not one of them.
He's not a therapist.
I did used to do protest organizing in a previous chapter of my life, but I wasn't even that good at it then, and I am certainly no longer good at it. So what I will be doing on the political front is trying to discern who in my life is saying the smartest things, and then I'm going to ask them what to do. I recommend that you do the same. But I know a thing or two about receiving news that feels like it's blown a hole right through your chest. The kind of news that makes you wonder how the hell you are going to go on living. And for me, the answer was to remember that there are things that I love.
A true egg cell. Yeah, I don't know what an egg cell is. I guess it's like a fem cell. Someone who's choosing not to, reproduce.
Enough for it to be worth waking up tomorrow just to get to read about them again, or even just to get to remember that they exist. That the Earth is full of wonders. I also know a thing or two about mass extinctions. Did you know Baron Cuvier referred to the ends of geologic eras, which are almost always marked by mass extinctions, as revolutions? Which makes sense as a metaphor even now, but it takes on extra poignance when you realize that Baron Cuvier, when he wrote that, had just lived through 1790s Paris. And revolution was a more loaded term to him than it is to us. Life on Earth has a history billions of years deep, and it has already come back many times over from horrors you can't imagine. It rained glass after the end Cretaceous asteroid impact, and now here I am listening to at least half a dozen dinosaurs chirping in the trees around me. Life on planet Earth is rough and scary.
Now, you don't see this type of shit, but what you will see is Mark Dice talking mass amounts of shit. Let's see, Mark Dice. The salt must flow. The salt must flow.
As we continue to celebrate the Donald Trump victory, there are literally countless videos of feminists on TikTok and Instagram completely melting down over the situation, and we're going to take a look at just a few more, but not just to mock them, not just to laugh at them and have a good time, although that is part of it, but really because this is a direct window into the minds of the mentally enslaved, of victims of the mainstream media, and they're not just crying about Kamala losing and thinking that Donald Trump's a terrible fascist. Many of them are now plotting some very bizarre activities in response. This lesbian decided that she doesn't want to look like a normal woman anymore, and so she's having her partner shave her head in response to Donald Trump being the next president.
like it's fucking, you know, Holland, like the liberation of Holland, where we're like just shaving off all the heads of the Nazi sympathizers.
United States. I'll spare you having to sit through the entire video, and we can just fast forward to the end for the final results there. This has pushed so many feminists and lesbians over the edge that they're now just openly expressing their hatred of all men. Even though, well, I guess
we'll get them out in the open.
But there is a term for hatred of men. I can't remember what it is because it's never really been used. But there is an
misandry.
Actual word for it. It's the opposite of misogyny, which we hear endlessly about. Now, these women are just openly engaging in hatred of men.
I just saw a man smiling, and I was like, what do you have to smile about? Like, unless you have that, like, smile disease from the horror movie Smile 1 and 2, like, stop smiling.
There's obviously a very serious mental
health crisis
in America, which
well,
is
in
large part by allowing
this,
kids
maybe I'll buy this one a cup
media,
of. I'll buy this one a cup of coffee.
Allowed psychos like Jeffrey Marsh to access them, and big corporations like YouTube and TikTok then promoting these kinds of creatures to then indoctrinate children with their form of, well, I guess it really is just Satanism, to try to destroy their...
Stop calling it Satanism, goddammit. Spiritual leftism.
Souls.
Do not detransition. Do not stop being publicly gay. Do not dye your hair back to a natural color. Do not take out your piercings. Do not cover...
Dye your hair back to a natural color. What the fuck? How... What, like going from a blonde to a redhead?
Or up your tattoos. That is what they want you to do. They want all of us to look alike. They want none of us to be gay. They want us all to be normal.
Actually, we do want you to be normal, but we don't want you to hide who you are. So please continue to show us with your fluorescent hair and your piercings, which now seems to be the more subtle version of that. Have you noticed how a large percentage of these lunatics have nose piercings? The blue hair is probably just a little bit too much for them. And that's kind of the LGBT thing. So just the feminists now who hate themselves, who hate beauty, who hate...
They're just saying, they're just against steers and queers, bro.
Hate men are getting the nose rings.
All you're doing when you convert to them is making them feel like they have every right to be rude to those who still want to be out. Because, oh, look at this person. They detransitioned.
Look at this cat. It wants out.
They used to be gay. Get weirder. Be crazier. They already don't like us. So, who cares?
Actually, you people got so weird, many of the LGB people started denouncing the T, Q, and plus people because they feel that you're giving them a bad name. I mean, what's next? Are therapists gonna take the TikTok and break down into tears over what's...
She looks like Coraline. Like, gives you that movie Coraline? By Tim Burton? She looks like that. Or Ramona Flowers. She needs to grow her hair out and dye it strawberry blonde. Maybe.
It's happening, and join their patients by revealing how crazy they are to the world? Oh, wait, what's this?
If you're wondering if it's hard to be a therapist right now, it is. It really is. You know, watching the pain and suffering that's come from this election.
China, there's that Chinese war profiteering, culture war profiteering. What would we do without TikTok, man?
And listening to my clients say homophobic things to me, not knowing I have a wife, is really hard. It's really
I'm crying too, but these are tears of joy.
And I have to validate them. I can't say anything.
Perhaps the most hilarious meltdown of all is this one.
Uh-oh,
Just
a boo.
wait till the end.
Donald Trump won, and I am very, very afraid that he might deport my mother-in-law. She entered illegally to the country, and she lives in Street 4, number 47, apartment D, New York. I am very, very concerned. That's right behind the green apartment. Yeah. The gate is always open. I don't have any dogs.
The best part is many of these people are now saying that they're going to do everything they can to avoid us.
The first question I'm asking everybody in my life from this moment forward, who did you vote for? If I get anything aside from Kamala,
what did you do for the movement?
get the in my face. I am done, honestly. It costs me $0 to cut people off. And in this economy, I'm taking all the free shit I can get.
Notice she has a note.
You know, God bless you. Do it if you can. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to make it. I've been making it, despite all the crap that's going on around me. And it's because I built a resume. But there are people who have less out, and go for it. If you can, go for it, girl.
Nose ring and a hideous face piercing. And I'm sorry to tell you, lady, but you're not going to get much free stuff for any longer because the Democrat Party has been fired.
I had no idea 70% of y'all were feeling that way. So
she's fucking
I was
cute.
on TikTok all day.
I would buy her a cup of
and
coffee.
Saw that we're making bracelets.
Did you hear about the blue bracelet thing? This is the third video that I've seen talking about it, and they're saying that they're going to start wearing blue bracelets to signal to other women that they
are not Jews. They're not followers of Kabbalah. They're not followers of Kabbalah. They're doing it to it's as a satanic version of the Kabbalah bracelets. That's what that is.
Instead of just a theory, instead of just talking about it to their cameras, crying in their bedrooms, it appears that they're actually doing it.
And I thought, okay, I've got beads. I can make some. My daughter's like, I want one. So I was making bracelets last night. And I ran out of string. And
just wait for it.
It costs too much to buy
I don't
string.
even want to be in a store right now. Because people are walking around like everything's normal. And I'm like,
everything's great.
Are we in the same universe?
Nope. You're in the Twilight Zone.
And I'm really uncomfortable. I don't want to be around it. So anyways, I went to the craft store and
Marshalls.
go to the bead section to buy some string and maybe a few more blue beads. And I see another young woman there buying blue beads. Yes. And I just looked at her and I said, are you making bracelets? She said, yeah. And I said, me too. And she started crying, and so did I. And she said, I just came from therapy. I'm not okay. And I was like, I just got in a fight with my best friend over Project 2025. And
I would breed this bitch. I truly some of these chicks are fucking cute. I mean, they're definitely long-term fixer-uppers, but come on.
She's like, can I hug you? And I said, yeah. So I'm just hugging this stranger in Joanne Fabrics because we're just two white women who just wanted people to know. Not me. It wasn't me.
Yes! Thank you! And in case you haven't heard, you can get 20% off any of my shirts at markdice.com this whole weekend by using the promo code VICTORY at the checkout. So get your War is a Racket shirt, your Donald Trump in the Matrix shirt, Trumpomania, Trump Mafia, Teflon Don, or any of my awesome designs. All available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie, and many in a whole bunch of different colors as well. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below. Enter the promo code VICTORY at the checkout to save 20% off this weekend, and check them out.
good old Trump speech. Let's see if we can get it for us. There we go.
Male and female.
There we go. Let's watch this sucker out.
Male and female, and they are assigned at birth. The bill will also make clear that Title IX prohibits men from participating in women's sports, and we will protect the rights of parents from being forced to allow their minor child to assume a gender which is new and an identity without the parents' consent. The identity will not be new, and it will not be without parental consent. No serious country should be telling its children that they were born with the wrong gender, a concept that was never heard of in all of human history. Nobody's ever heard of this, what's happening today. It was all when the radical left invented it just a few years ago.
Nah,
Under
back
my
in the
leadership, this
1970s,
madness
buddy.
will end.
1970s when a lot of this gender shit started. But it really took off when Tumblr got shut down. They got rid of the porn on Tumblr. That's when all hell broke loose.
Thank you very much. I plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth. On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children. Can you believe this? I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly.
Which, I'll just say it right now, that should have been, we don't have to have a law against that. I'd like to think we don't have to have a law for that. But the problem here is we can't have nice things because nobody can agree on what is good and evil, not just what is a man. A man's a miserable little pile of secrets, right?
I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program immediately.
Transgenocide every day.
The creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures on minor children. The Department of Justice will investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich at the expense of vulnerable patients. In this,
well, while you're at it, go after the big pharma who drugged and treated young boys like they were defective girls. Go after them, Trump.
Case very vulnerable. We will also investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally marketed hormones and puberty blockers which are in no way licensed or approved for this use. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of federal funding. As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of mothers and fathers, and celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men and women different and unique. I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth, in order to get rich at the expense of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable. We will also investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally marketed hormones and puberty blockers which are in no way licensed or approved for this use. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, They will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of federal funding. As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of mothers and fathers, and celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men and women different and unique. I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States...
He's repeating himself, I think. I'm trying to get the whole clip. I don't want to watch Asmongold's version of it, but you get the idea. It's out there. Let's see what else we got here. Alrighty, Zip Recruiter. Here we go. This will be fun.
大家好，今天跟大家说一个事儿啊，很多。
A lot of fans have been asking me about joining the Russian military as a mercenary, so let me explain. Listen, if you're still able to make a living back in China, don't come here to be a mercenary. Being a mercenary means your life is basically over. With the war being this intense, coming here makes you a target, plain and simple. They might offer you 20,000 yuan a month, but there's no guarantee you'll make it back alive. I really hope you all don't consider coming to Russia to be a mercenary. It's as simple as this. Once you're on the front line, the chances of surviving are slim. Do you understand?
This was a recently posted video from a Chinese mercenary on the Russia-Ukraine battlefield. Drawing from his own experience, he urged others not to come to Russia as mercenaries.
Wise.
Next, we have a video from another Chinese mercenary, seemingly seeking thrill and experience pay, recorded during a training session.
Man, this morning I thought we'd be walking 5 kilometers, but we ended up walking 8. Now we're heading back, and I see others riding in cars, but we're walking on our own 2 legs. Here, everyone else's training involves riding to and from locations, but we walk. 8 kilometers there, 8 kilometers back, 16 kilometers. I'm exhausted, thirsty, and hungry, and my legs feel like they don't even belong to me anymore.
Well, no.
Others are trained as mechanized infantry.
Your ass
We
doesn't
don't even
belong
get a
to you either.
motorbike. I'm still 3 kilometers away from the camp, with just a bottle of milk and a bar of chocolate. After finishing those, I'm still tired and hungry. Others ride during training, but our legs are like the wheels of a motorbike. If I'd known this, I wouldn't have bragged about being part of the mechanized infantry.
这2条腿已经走的已经不是我自己的了。
I'm already lagging behind by at least a kilometer. There are 2 guys ahead of me, one from Chongqing and another from Yunnan. They've left me behind by at least a kilometer. This has got to be the hardest job in the world, being a mechanized infantryman. I finally get it. The Russians even had us gathered firewood. Yesterday, I spent the whole day collecting firewood, and today they want us to chop it. I'm exhausted. I came here to fire a gun, not chop wood.
Who cares?
You can see that this so-called mercenary isn't really cut out to be a professional soldier. Complaining after just a little bit of walking, he hasn't even tasted real hardship yet. Some viewers who know him commented that he was a delivery driver back in China. He said he came to Russia to fire a gun, likely thinking it would be like playing a war game, and instead of paying to play, he would earn money. Such people might only realize the reality and regret their decision once they face real danger and injuries on the battlefield.
Yeah.
On October 19th, Chinese mercenaries Lao Wang and the Warden did a live stream where they casually mentioned how errors by Russian commanders are common. They said many bodies can't be identified, so they're just reported as missing. The Warden added, "There have been 153 Chinese casualties on my front line. If we count your area, there will be even more. Of the North Korean soldiers that came with us, 8 of them were gone in just 1 day, even at the commander level. And they say North Koreans are tough? Come on."
Fucking A! It's just never good enough for these people. Base Trump is back. Yes, he is back. Absolutely.
A user commented, "From this perspective, it seems President Xi Jinping is indirectly
no
participating
Chong-Jongs
in the
on the
conflict.
battlefield.
With how
I hope
strict
not.
internet censorship is in China, allowing such content without blocking it suggests tacit approval. It's encouraging Chinese nationals to assist in Russia. This information can set a precedent. just like how crossing the line videos became popular and led to more people doing it. But while those videos have been completely banned, this kind of content remains allowed, which essentially means it's being tolerated and even promoted. Recently, a video showed 2 regular, officially trained Chinese soldiers on the streets of Moscow, seeming to confirm rumors that China has secretly deployed its regular army into Russia. Derun Media released a video showing 5 Chinese soldiers who supported Russia who were killed after stepping on a series of landmines set by Ukrainian forces on August 30th.
They probably also were used as mine detectors by the Russians. Let's not kid ourselves. That's probably what... Can you imagine that, like, some of these Russians just actively fucking with the North Koreans, saying, yeah, just walk into that field. Just keep walking straight. Don't worry about it. And then he blows himself up because he's too fucking retarded. And I even heard some of the defectors from the North Korean side. Because, like, let's not kid ourselves. If you get out and you're deployed, because how often does North Korea deploy stuff, right? Fucking North Koreans deploy, they're going to defect. A lot of them defected.
They will never return home. Recently, Chinese media reported that 2 Chinese men, Liu Hongwei and Liu Jie, joined the Russian military and were deployed to the front lines of the Russia-Ukraine war. However, they both perished after just 1 day. It's reported that they arrived in Russia in early June, received over a month of basic infantry training, and were then assigned to units mostly composed of foreign personnel. The Post mentioned that Liu Hongwei and Liu Jie initially had no idea what their mission was until they reached the front lines, where they discovered that they were assigned to a strike team. By then, it was too late to back out. The 2 had communicated online with other Chinese soldiers in Russia, and they were said to have decent military skills. Unfortunately, they were sent to the front lines as expendable assets.
Oh.
Some Chinese soldiers
yeah,
joined the
I mean,
Russian
they all
military
look the
training
same.
and headed to the eastern Ukraine battlefield with high morale. However, after experiencing the harsh realities of war, one of these soldiers wanted to return to his powerful homeland, but the Russian military officers did not allow him to leave. They beat him continuously, even using sticks, while he pleaded in Chinese. Online comments sarcastically remarked that these Chinese soldiers who volunteered to support Russia had no idea that heading to eastern Ukraine was essentially a death sentence.
Oh, they had
The
no
moment they
idea,
realized it, they became scared, which was both shameful and sad. What happens when a mercenary's contract ends and they want to go home? The answer can be found in the words of the warden, who was mentioned earlier.
Earlier, I said my expedition was over, but that wasn't true. My superior spoke to me and said that my contract would only end once the war was won. As an intelligence officer, I'm obligated to continue leading members of the storm troop. They're planning to send me to command the most dangerous unit within the troop. 2 of my men managed to escape, and now there's a full-scale search for them. If they get caught, it's certain death, so I can only wish them good luck. And about this job, it's basically about getting fed. Some people accuse me of siding with the enemy. First of all, you need to understand who pays my salary and feeds me. If I come back, will you feed me? If I can't even get enough to eat, what's the point of talking about ideals? If I return, I'll have to find a job myself.
Fucking Mongoloid fucking hordes. Mongoloid hordes, man. Like, legitimately, they're literally, like, we're fighting all the villains of the Soviet campaign, right? The Soviet boomer, the fucking, North Koreans, the Chinese. I mean, what the fuck is this? It's literally becoming a goddamn Call of Duty game in Ukraine.
Some of the guys here complain about how
like
bad
fucking
the Russians
Verdansk.
are, how they aren't nice to us. I tell them, no matter how bad the Russians are, the culture is different, but they still give me what I'm owed.
This man might represent the mindset of many Chinese mercenaries. If they weren't struggling to put food on the table in China, who would risk their lives like this for money? When he said, no matter how bad the Russians are, he abruptly stopped, hesitant to say more. Perhaps he still has hopes of returning to China, and he doesn't dare criticize the real villain, the Chinese Communist Party, which has left him struggling to get enough to eat. It's quite ironic that in a country claiming to be the world's second largest economy, so many people are still struggling to get by.
Well,
The
because
Chinese
we're part of the
mercenaries on
economy.
The Russia-Ukraine battlefield inadvertently exposed the reality of the CCP's crumbling economy. There's a mercenary called Li Jianwei who frequently posts commentary on the Russia-Ukraine battlefield. He has gained a bit of fame on the platform for discussing topics related to Chinese mercenaries, and here's how he describes the situation on the front lines.
Really?
我没想到这次打这么长时间，真的。
I didn't expect this to last so long, really. Before, it used to be just a day and a night at most. You go to a small forest, rest during the day, and do whatever you want, then move forward at night. But here, there's no day or night distinction. It's just non-stop. And the drones on the other side, there's so many of them. You probably haven't seen drones blowing up tanks before, because there's electronic interference here. You can hear drones overhead from far away, and there are more of them than birds. When their drones come over, there are usually one or two at the front, acting as decoys. If you have interference, it only works on the first two, but then the drones behind start boom, 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 bombing around you. It's so bad that no one dares to stick their head out. Nobody dares to. Their intelligence is really good. As soon as a tank arrives here, they've already detected it. Then they start bombing, and no one dares to expose themselves. Some of the drones even carry C4 explosives or anti-tank rockets. They hit your tank with a bang bang, at least 2 or 3 shots, and it's turned into scrap metal. So this war isn't like I imagined. I thought it would be like in the movies. I thought it'd be okay, shooting from a distance, throwing a grenade up close, kicking the door down. It's all just like what you see in the movies.
Oh, you're always fighting the last war.
All those things from the films I watched. It'd be fun, a great experience. But it's different here. They're ruthless, and so are we. To put it bluntly, no one holds back. Even the most basic bullets have been swapped out for armor-piercing rounds, just to make sure they kill. Understand? They're making sure you don't survive.
Oh, he bought the hype. That's bullshit. He bought the hype. It doesn't. They're probably using armor-piercing bullets specific. If I was out there, I'd want to have a shotgun. I'd want to have a over/under shotgun that I could use to take down some of these freaking drones. That'd be not my main, but like my secondary is like an over/under shotgun that I can use to like shut down the drones. Then I'd have my 20-inch AR-15 as well.
Maybe he really did watch too many movies, thinking war was just a game or an experience. This is all thanks to years of CCP propaganda, which portrayed the harshness of war as if it were some kind of comedic anti-Japanese drama. Earlier, Chinese mercenary Lao Wang mentioned the presence of North Korean soldiers on the Russia-Ukraine battlefield, indirectly confirming reports that North Korea has sent troops to Russia. In the eyes of people around the world, North Korean soldiers, known for being armed to the teeth and marching with their distinct rhythmic steps, have always been shrouded in mystery. Many have been curious about how capable this mysterious force really is. Recently, a senior Ukrainian officer reported a large-scale escape of North Korean soldiers near the Russia-Ukraine border.
Yep.
According to information shared by North...
They're tagged, okay? They're tagged. Don't worry about it. And yes, the communists tag their own people. It sucks, I know.
Korea's Toshan Ilbo on October 16th, a Ukrainian military official divulged that 18 North Korean soldiers escaped near the border, about 7 kilometers northwest of the Bryansk and Kursk regions. The officer said, "It seems they haven't been caught yet. The local Russian military is trying to hide this fact from their higher-ups." The exact affiliations of these North Korean soldiers and the reasons for their escape are still unclear. The actions of the North Korean soldiers weren't surprising. Experts suggest that due to the extreme lack of resources, North Korea's army rarely engages in effective combat training. Their equipment is outdated, and expired ammunition is a common issue, which has led to very low combat capabilities.
Can you imagine these guys not having like what is with these combat countries and not having the proper ammunition? You know, first it was the AK-12 basically not working at all. Then it was, oh, you know, now they're destroying all of our munitions and whatnot. Now it's the freaking the communist North Koreans with their little Type 56 or Type 52, I think it is. I can't remember what it is. Type 56 Noriko Type 56, I think it is. And they don't have the proper ammunition for it.
Korea's military power mainly lies in strategic deterrence like ballistic missiles and nuclear weapons, which are supported and maintained by the CCP. During significant international events, North Korea's nuclear and missile drills are essentially orchestrated by China. North Korea's regular army is primarily deployed to control its own people, with the actual role of quelling resistance and uprisings. Their parades are meant to intimidate their own citizens, and their martial arts demonstrations are more like circus acts, designed for the amusement of their leaders. This bears a striking resemblance to the CCP's practices. So, when it comes to real warfare, the lack of military competence among North Korean soldiers becomes evident.
They're stage fighters.
Most North Korean soldiers
They're fucking
were fully
stage
aware
fighters.
that they were sent to the Russia-Ukraine battlefield as cannon fodder. Back home, there's hardly a chance to escape, so this seemed like a great opportunity. For them, the most dangerous place is actually their homeland. The fact that these North Korean soldiers fled before they could be used as cannon fodder might change some perceptions about them. It turns out they're not as naive as people once thought. The situation of Chinese mercenaries who entered the Russia-Ukraine battlefield early on is much more complex. Most of them are former soldiers who, struggling with tough lives and no stable prospects, decided to try their luck to earn some money. A smaller group consists of
They're a bunch of fucking mercenaries, dude. That's what the BRICS nations are, a bunch of mercenaries who can't make anything. Anyhow, let's go over here. This will be fun. This was fun. No. No? There we go.
Of sanction regimes in
Ugh.
and what of sanction regimes in Canada and the United States?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
Did you ever seek legal advice
Lauren.
on
Lauren, you dumb bitch. We're finally figuring out what's happened to the trial of roaming millennial. My butt is on that she's going to throw her husband under the bus because he's the producer. He's the one who should have known about all the shit going down and warned her, but he couldn't act as a proper police protector and provider. No. No, they both are fucked at this point, and I'm just watching a car crash in slow motion.
sanction regimes and what penalties might be for accepting money from a sanctioned entity?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
On February 16th, 2022, you produced an op-ed in reference to a Russian war. However, the Russian invasion of Ukraine occurred on February 24th, 2022. Did you receive speaking notes or those lines to produce that op-ed in advance of the Russian invasion in Ukraine?
Uh-oh.
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
She very well might have known about the day of the special operation, special military operation, SMO. You know, if she knew about this shit, the commies run deep. And to think I ever thought she was kind of cute. I mean, she has that kind of like jawline. She has that like masculine Californian jawline. She does have that.
How much money did you or your company receive from Russia or Russian agents?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
Were you aware that the money your company was receiving was from Russia or Russian agents?
For the reasons already given, I have no comment.
I plead the fifth in Canadian. That's what she's doing. And I have the link to the entire video down in the description for those of you who want to watch it. It's good. But yeah, I think we're pretty much good at this point. Ladies and gentlemen, be good to one another. Take care of one another. Remember, saving the West is a side quest. And remember, Trump's back. So let's see what the crazy shit the liberals are doing nowadays. And let's hold the right-wingers and Trump accountable. This is Digital Renegade Podcast. Out.